friends, welcome to another video. I'm so excited to be sharing some of my favorite romances with you today. These are stories that have stayed with me long after I finished them and have remained close to my heart ever since. And the best part is that they are completely binge worthy. You can read them in a single day or even one sitting. I think some of these I did read from front to end without even stopping. They were really amazing stories. They range from emotional and really sad and unique to witty and funny and hilarious with great banter. Across the spectrum, a little bit of everything. I have 7 books here in front of me and I can't wait to tell you about them. The first book on my list is actually what inspired this video. I read it just last week and it has been on my mind ever since. I can't let it go. The story has just stayed with me and I read it in one sitting because I just couldn't put it down. And that book is called Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. This book is about Matt and Grace and it's told in past present perspective. It begins in the present with 2 characters that have not seen each other in a number of years, and then we are taken back to the past with what their story is all about, how they met, how they fell in love during their senior year in college in New York City, all the shenanigans that they got up to, how they built their connection, and how they fell really madly in love. And then you get to present day where they actually haven't seen each other in 15 years. Their lives kind of went separate ways after that year that they spent in college together. That summer, everything changed. There are some amazing emotional revelations in this. The story is told in such a fun way, but also really emotional. It's lighthearted, but also heavy. It's a little bit of everything, and I've not read a story like it before. I just loved every aspect of this. The characters are so relatable and so fun to read about, and there's also a big emotional twist at the end that really gets you in a frenzy, and you just get really emotional about the whole story. It just brought me even closer to these characters and the plot lines. I loved every minute that I spent with this book, and I would highly recommend it if you are looking to pick it up. The next book I have here is called The Lost Manuscript by Kathy Bonadin. Wow, what a story this is. This is a really unique tale that I have never seen before, and it's also an epistolary, which just means that it is a book written completely in letters. So all of the characters correspond with each other through a set of letters, and it really starts with our main character called Annalise, who goes on vacation one day to the coast of France and discovers in her hotel bedside table a manuscript, and she reads the manuscript and is completely blown away, and she feels compelled to reunite the manuscript with the author. There's an address left in the book, so she sends it to that address, and to her surprise, the author actually writes back to her and says, "Wow, I haven't seen this in 30 years. Where did you find it?" And the two of them kind of go on this wild goose chase from there to figure out what has happened to this manuscript in 30 years for it to end up in this hotel room, which is not where he left it. And they soon discover a series of events and chain of events that happens with a lot of different characters. This manuscript has been all over the world and in the hands of a lot of different people, and every single person who has read the manuscript is completely changed by it. Their life takes on a completely different course, and they are all inspired by it in different ways. So this little ragtag team of people are now on this hunt to go figure out the origins of where this manuscript has been. This story is so heartwarming and emotional, and it's full of life, and it's full of really wonderful characters. It has some great little quotes in there that are going to stay with me, some really great kind of remarks on life and how we live and how we hang on to the past and different memories that we have. I devoured this book in one sitting. It did not disappoint, and if you're looking for something a little bit different from the traditional kind of rom-coms and emotional romances, then this is the book for you. It will not disappoint. The next book I have on my list is called The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This book was so sweet and a little bit lighter if you're looking for something witty and fun and enjoyable to pass your summer evening. This story is about Hallie and Jack, and Hallie and Jack meet after having a really passionate one drunken night in a hotel room, and the next morning she kind of belly crawls out of there and wants to forget the whole thing. They meet a little while later and realize that they are the 2 people that had spent that evening together, and they realize that they're not perfect for each other, but they can help each other find the one. So they both have joined this dating app, and they're going to help each other kind of go on these perfect dates. And after they go on their dates, they meet at a taco place to discuss what's happened and how they can help each other. And they actually end up making a little wager to see who can be the first one to find their ideal partner. And so in spending all this time together, as you can imagine, and all the tacos that they enjoy together, they can become closer and closer and get to know each other and what the other one is looking for. One weekend, everything changes stages when they agree to be fake dates at a wedding. Of course, they get closer and realize their feelings for each other. This book is full of so much humor and lightheartedness and fun, and Lynn Painter does banter like nobody else. It is so quirky and feels like two people that you would know in your real life, and you might even be these two people on these dates and seeing yourself in this scenario. It is such a fun book. It was so easy to read. I flew through it and really recommend it if you're looking for something lighthearted and a little humorous. The next book I have here is called When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This story is so wholesome and sweet. This story is about Amelia and Noah, and in this world, Amelia is actually a famous singer, and she just wants to escape her life. She needs a break. It's been a little bit too much, and so she runs away to this little small town in Kentucky called Rome, Kentucky, and she just wants to hide out for a little bit. But upon arriving into town, her car actually breaks down in front of this guy named Noah, his house, and he can't help but help her because even though he is grouchy and he's rough around the edges, he's a nice guy and wants to help her out and offers for her to stay at his house until they get her car fixed and she can leave. So the two of them end up being in this forced proximity kind of situation. He owns this very cute bakery store in the town. The town gives me very like Gilmore Girls vibes. It's very sweet, very Stars Hollow. The townspeople are all in each other's business. He has sisters that are also like meddling in the whole situation because they're big fans of her, and just getting to know her, Amelia, she's such a fun, strong woman that they want to set them up. It's just so cute and wholesome, and I love the Grumpy Sunshine kind of vibes, and I love watching grumpy characters kind of become soft for the other characters. It's such a sweet tale. It's so wholesome, and it kind of gives me that like Reese Witherspoon Netflix rom-com movie kind of vibes. I wouldn't be surprised if they make one out of this. This is also a companion novel, so the one after this is called Practice Makes Perfect, which is about Noah's sister. That one is also amazing, but I decided to include this one in the list today because this is the first one. The next book on my list is called One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book, you guys, this is one of my all-time favorites, and I will probably be rereading it again very soon because I love this story. This is about Emma, Jesse, and Sam. So Emma and Jesse are high school sweethearts, and they are just this adventurous couple that loves to explore the world and do all the things. So after they graduate high school, they move far away, go on a ton of adventures, are living life and loving everything about their life, except one day Jesse gets on a helicopter and his helicopter crashes and he's gone, and Emma is completely devastated. She doesn't know what to do with her life without Jesse. She feels like it has no meaning. So she moves back home to the East Coast where she can be with her family and grieve in peace over there. She slowly begins to piece her life together, and she's starting to get back out into the world where she meets Sam, an old high school friend, kind of. He's asked her out before. They may have had some romantic interest, but nothing really happened because she was with Jesse. And so she reunites with Sam, and their story kind of takes off from there. And one day they're sitting at dinner. Sam is then her fiance. That's not a spoiler. It's on the back of the book. And she gets a call from Jesse. And she is obviously so thrown off track because she thought that he was dead and gone. But he wasn't. He just had a terrible accident happen to him. So from there, Jesse is brought back home. And Emma kind of has to grapple with, does she rekindle her romance with Jesse, or does she stay with Sam, who is her old love and her now fiance? So this book is really, really emotional. You're kind of rooting for all characters. I'm not a huge fan of like the love triangle dynamic. I always feel bad for the person that's left out, but at the end of this book, you're really satisfied with the ending, and you're really satisfied with what happens to all of the characters. I think they all kind of get their own kind of happily ever after in the best way that they can. This story was amazing. I loved it. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid handled a topic like this really, really delicately, especially the grief aspect. So it is an emotional one. I did cry, so know that going into this, but it is absolutely worth your time and a really dynamic read. The next book I have on my list here is called Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. You will have seen this book everywhere last summer and maybe even this summer. I love the story. It is about Percy and Sam, and they are childhood friends. Their families grew up next to each other at lakes during the summertime, and they spent all their summers together. This story is told in past, present perspective. In the present, it's told over the course of one weekend happened, where they have reunited in the present because of a tragedy that happens, and the past is told over 5 summers, telling you the story of how they became friends and how they became interested in each other romantically as well. And then finally, in that last summer before everything changed, you find out what happened to make their friendship kind of go awry and even their romantic interest in each other. This story is so fun because there is a mystery element to it. Like, the entire time you're reading it, you just can't wait to turn the page because you want to find out what happened all those summers ago, that such a great friendship and such a great connection was dissolved that way. I loved every part of the story. It was emotional, it was funny, it was nostalgic, it had great atmosphere, the lake settings, the vibes. You could almost feel the like lake breeze coming off of your hair. It was so good. Carly Fortune does a great job of making it very atmospheric and giving those summer descriptions. So a great summer story if you're trying to squeeze it in before the summer is over. You will not be disappointed. It's fast paced, it moves really quickly. You will be wanting to turn those pages to find out what exactly happened to these two characters that are so completely relatable to people that we know, or even maybe to yourself. I loved every minute that I spent with this book, and I highly recommend it. The last book I have on my list here is called All Your Perfects by Colleen Hoover. Now, Colleen Hoover is an interesting author because some people love her, some people hate her. A lot of her books are quite controversial, but despite how you feel and how you feel about her other books, if you have not read this one, you need to pick it up. This is such an emotional, heartbreaking story, but so worth the read. This is about Quinn and Graham, and this story is also told in past, present perspective. In the past, you're learning about their connection and how they came together and how they've been falling in love, and it is such a powerful love story with how they come together and how deeply they fall for each other. And then in the present chapters, you're learning about how their marriage is kind of crumbling and how they've grown apart and what has happened to this really deep emotional connection that they have and what's going on in their relationship. This has a lot of trigger warnings. Please search those up because there are some sensitive subjects discussed in this book, and that's what makes it really emotional. And also a really great story of a couple going through something hard and then working through it and figuring it out through real life obstacles. This is a very relatable story to a lot of people. It's very contemporary in the sense that it feels like people that you would know, or maybe it's even happened to you. I love this story so much. It will forever be one of my favorites, and I would highly recommend you read it if you're looking for something really heart-wrenching and really emotional. So those are some of my favorite 5-star romances that are completely binge-worthy in one sitting or one day. Comment down below if you've read any of them or if you plan to, and I would also love any recommendations that you have of some of your favorite binge-worthy 5-star romances. I'm always looking for a good recommendation. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will catch you next time.